Hi guys, welcome to yoga. I'm Lisa. Today we're going to do a Yin Yoga class, and the poses that we'll do today will focus on hips. So we'll do some poses that focus on the outer hip, which is the glute muscles in your bottom, and then the inner hip. So we'll do a little bit through this adductor area and the groin, and we'll also target the back as well in some of the poses. So before we get started, for Yin poses, it is nice to have some props around. If you have two blocks, please grab them. And if you don't have them, don't stress. You can use containers or books. Get your phone books out, you can use those. Blanket. It doesn't need to be a fancy yoga blanket. It can be any blanket you have laying around. And even a big beach towel. That's really good as well as an alternative. And a bolster. So if you don't have a bolster, just grab a firm pillow. Or some of the poses, instead of using the bolster, you can use a rolled up towel or blanket instead. So don't stress if you don't have fancy professional yoga props. Just grab stuff from around the house and I'm sure it will work out. Okay, so before we start the poses, let's just lie on our backs for a few moments and take a couple moments just to get settled in. So please lie back. Do whatever you like with your legs. I'm going to bend mine and let the knees drop in together. And then just gently place your left hand on your heart and your right hand on your belly. Shut your eyes. And just breathe. Try to breathe as slow and deep as you can. Not just into the chest, but also into the belly. So feeling both the left and the right hands rise as you breathe in calmly. Lower as you breathe out slowly. Just a few more rounds here. Please take one more calm breath in. Breathe deep into the belly. Breathe out slowly. Just gently take your knees into your chest. Give yourself a hug. And if it feels good, you can gently rock or sway side to side. Then please slowly come up to a seat. We'll move into our first pose. So the first pose will be for the outer hips, the glute muscles here, and it will target the lower back as well. So let's grab our blocks and our bolsters, our block and bolster. I'm just going to time the poses with my iPad as well. So for this pose, please cross your right shin in front of your left shin, like this. So just an easy cross-legged pose. If it's very uncomfortable to do this, feel free to basically cross the legs in any manner that works for you. They can be really far apart or they can be tight, doesn't matter. And if you find that your ankles are on the ground and they're getting a bit sensitive, then just pop the blanket underneath your ankles there. Also, if you find that your knees are coming up heaps here and they want a bit of support, just put the blocks underneath the knees. That's okay, that's good to do that. And then we're just going to slowly sit up really tall, breathe in, and then breathe out, very slowly creep forward. So folding forward here. Doesn't matter how far down you go, you may only end up here. Or if your body's happy with going further, you go down. You want to try to keep your bottom on the ground though, so your sitting bones stay planted. And then from here, we're going to slowly take the arms and the upper body and just creep them over to the left a little bit. Okay, it doesn't matter how far you go over. Maybe you didn't move much, or maybe you're pointing over to the left quite a bit. But what we're doing here is we're trying to create a stretch through the outside of the right hip. Just put the timer on. You also got your back muscles as well, lower back particularly as you're folding forward. And we'll just maybe, you might even feel it a bit mainly through the right side of the lower back here as well. So we've just got about 3 minutes here. Just taking a few moments. If you find that you want some more support for the upper body, you can even just take the bolster under the arms here. It's not required that you have to get the arms and elbows to the ground. Just try to find somewhere comfortable to settle, which gives you stretch through that outer right hip, that lower part of the right back, and then you may even feel it a little bit through the middle of the back as well. No pain though. So our bodies are all made up differently, particularly when it comes to our bone structure. And the structure of the thigh bone, the top of the thigh bone, the way that it's shaped and the way that the cup that it sits in is shaped, that can determine how this leg is going to feel being on this angle. That's why I said at the start, you don't have to actually cross them like this and look like this. It may not look like this for you. Just find somewhere that can be crossed, that doesn't cause you any pain, and that will just allow you to settle here for just a couple more moments. Remember, in yin poses, we're not looking for that 100% really intense stretch. We're looking more for like 70%. So don't push yourself to your absolute limit. Just back off a little bit from there. We find that when we push it to the limit, it may be hard to actually hold the pose for the length that we need to hold it for in yin. And it may mean that your muscles actually have to work to sustain the hold. So we don't actually want our muscles to work here. In the target area, we want them to relax. And then we can hopefully get muscles stretching gently. And also those connective tissues as well. We've got a couple more moments here, so just please take a few more calm breaths. Let's take one more really calm, deep breath in here. Slow, long breath out. And then inhale, just slowly come back up. And we're just going to rest before we do the other side. So it's up to you if you just want to straighten the legs and sit up like this. Or maybe you just want to lie on your back. We'll just be there for just a few moments. So take your time. No fuss, no rush. Take your time. Then we'll slowly move to the other side. So if you're lying down, just take your time to sit up. And then for this side, we're going to cross the left shin in front of the right. Remember that it doesn't have to be perfectly crossed like this. It can be a tighter cross or a looser cross. It's up to you. If your ankles or the bones around your feet are getting sensitive, pop a blanket underneath them just to pad them a little bit. Let me get my watch out. And then let's just take a deep breath and sit up tall. Breathe out, slowly creep yourself forward. So upper body creeps forward to whatever height feels okay for you. Doesn't matter if elbows and forearms are on the ground or not. And then very slowly creep your arms and hands and spin the chest over to the right. Not a lot. You want to make sure that left butt cheek is still on the ground. And then if you want, it's okay, just to pop maybe a bolster or something underneath the arms. Maybe you can even rest down like this. It's up to you. So starting the clock, the sensation should just be a gentle stretch through those right glute muscles on the outside of the left hip. And then you may also feel it through that lower part of the left part of the lower back. And maybe even a bit through the rest of the lower back there, because we are folding forward. So we've just got a few moments here. Working to gently open the muscles, which is what we tend to do when we stretch. But with yin poses, they are stretches that also try to open up our connective tissues. So the connective tissues, they're all the ligaments and the tendons and the fascia in our body. And they tend to be pretty tight. I know for myself, I hold heaps of tension in my connective tissues. So you need a gentle yin stretch like this to help you stretch them. More active dynamic stretching, which we may do in other styles of yoga, more yang styles of yoga, they're probably a little bit too strong to actually get into the connective tissues. They're probably just going to help open your muscles a bit more rather than the connective tissues. So let's just take a few moments here just to breathe. We do hold for at least 3 minutes each side. But remember, you don't have to hold it for that long. You can just come out whenever you really need to. And you never hold a pose if there's pain. Yes, it may be uncomfortable, but we never just try to endure pain. Discomfort's different though. Couple more moments here. Breathe. Please take one more really calm, deep breath in. Slow breath out. Taking your time, slowly coming back up, very slowly. And then we'll rest before we move on to the next pose. So it's up to you if you just want to be seated upright. You can always lean against the wall, or if you just want to lie on your back. Don't worry, don't fuss about it, just do whatever feels best for you. Then we'll slowly move to the next pose. So if you're lying down, just take some time to come up into a seat. The next pose is going to target the inner hip. So we just did the outer hip with the last one. The inner hip here will be the groin area, and then you may even feel it through these adductor muscles on the inside of the thigh. There's a couple of options here, and I'm going to give you a few options because our bodies are made up differently, so you may not feel that stretch in the target area with the first option or the second option I give you. So I'll give you a few. So option 1, feet together for butterfly. So if you ever want to sit up on a block here as well, sometimes in some poses I like to do that. Just helps to create a bit more space through this area. It's up to you. So target areas inner thighs, and then we'll target the back as well. So if it is comfortable for you, you're going to slowly fold forward. And then you can always use the bolster here as well to lean on. If you're not feeling much through the inner thighs, then you can also do dragonfly, where you stretch the legs out. Don't take it to your absolute max. Inner thigh stretch here. If it feels comfortable, you fold forward to also get through the back. If you don't feel in either of them, and I know people who don't, please bend the legs like this, and you just hang and fold forward like this. So if I were in this pose, I would want to sit up and block. For this last option, that just suits my body. You may not need it for your body. So please take a few moments to decide which one is going to feel best for you and give you that inner thigh opening. I think today I'm going to go for dragonfly. And I'm going to start the clock now. So with this pose, because we are folding forward, directly forward, we're also targeting the thoracolumbar, which is a really big piece of connective tissue that covers our back, pretty much the lower and middle back. It's a big bit of fascia. So if you're not sure what fascia is, it sort of looks like spider webs, and it covers all our organs and muscles and everything through the body. And we can just gently stretch this fascia. Also, the thoracolumbar is pretty important because lots of different muscles interdigitate through that. So that means that just by stretching the thoracolumbar, you can also help other muscles. So say the glutes interdigitate, first they connect through there, even though there's no direct connection maybe. Even some of your upper back muscles as well. So it's nice to just give that area a gentle stretch as well. I'll just turn on the side so you can see the area I'm talking about. Just through here. And because this is a yin pose, it's a gentle held pose. There's no force, there's no pulling, there's no quick movements. And because of that, it means that we can round the back. Usually in yoga, teachers will ask you, try not to round this area. When you fold forward, they'll say, try to hinge from the hips instead and try to keep the spine straight. With this one, you can just really round and fold. And when we do that, we do get this stretch through this area. And it's a safe stretch because we're trying to hold it gently. We're not really pushing or pulling into it. Couple more moments here. So remember, you can come out when you need. If you're happy here, just a few more breaths. Just notice if the mind's trying to wander off and grab onto all of the distractions. And notice how these distractions just tend to fill up your space and clutter it. So see instead if you can just try to declutter as much as you can. A few more breaths here. Please take one more really long, deep breath in. Slow, calm breath out. Slowly come up. And we'll rest before we get to the next pose. So if you like, you can either sit or slowly roll onto your back and just take a few moments. If you're lying down, please just slowly come up to a seat, and I'll show you the next pose that we're going to do. So the next pose is going to combine outer and inner hip. It's called deer pose. So to get into this one, please come onto your hands and knees. And then just bring your right knee to your right wrist. From here, gently wriggle the right foot towards the left hand, so it doesn't have to be much. If this was a yang pose, teachers may encourage you to take the foot all the way so this shin is parallel to the front of the mat. But this is yin, so you can back off a lot. I think I might just go halfway. And then you slowly slide back. From here, then gently roll to your right hip, to your right bottom, and bend the left knee up. Okay? So this is called deer pose. And if you want, if you find that you need some support underneath your right butt cheek, pop a block or the rolled up blanket there. You want to try to keep hips level. In yin it doesn't matter so much because it is a gentler hold, but always just listen to your body, and if it feels like you want to raise this right hip up, pop a block under it. If you feel like this left knee is going to get sore being pressed on the ground, just pop the towel or blanket underneath it, not too high, just a thin towel there so it's padded. And then if it's comfortable for you, you creep forward. So you may just go a little bit, you may go a lot more, and you can use a bolster here. So you pop the bolster lengthways or this way underneath your body and just lie down on it. Take a few moments to get set up. I'll start the clock soon. Okay, I'm going to start the clock. So with this pose, you're stretching the outer hip on the right, glute muscles in the right butt cheek, and then you're stretching the inner hip, the groin area on the left. So a bit of both. Folding forward as well. You may also feel it through the back. Depends on your body. I don't really feel it through the back too much because I'm not rounding a lot here, but you may. And poses like this are also really nice just for the sacrum, just helping to stretch out that through that area there, trying to create some space. And remember, it's not just space through the body that we try to create in yoga. It's also a lot of space in the mind, because unfortunately that tends to be cluttered up a lot. Constant dialogue running through the mind, all this chatter. It's usually focused a lot on stressful things. There's a lot of judgment and comparisons, a lot of analysing and problem solving, which is all stuff that we need to do, but not constantly. That can be really tiring, and then it means that we don't have much space for all the positive things that we also need to do. So positive things like compassion, not just towards others, but towards ourselves as well. Positive things, just like taking time to listen to listen and to feel what's going on internally for us. A lot of the time we don't do that until something really major happens, like we get an injury or we get sick. And then by that time it's maybe too late. So just try to create some space, declutter all the stress, let that go, and then fill it with things like awareness, focus, compassion. A few more moments here. You can always come out when you need to, though. Please take one more very calm, deep breath in. Slow breath out. And then slowly come out of this. So there's a few ways. Maybe if you're lying down, you push yourself up first. And gently roll to the right hip. Bring the left leg out and you can sit up. Or if you want to just roll onto your back and lie there for a few moments, that's okay. Take your time. If you're lying down, please just take some time to slowly bring yourself up to a seat. And then we'll do the other side. So, please come up onto your hands and knees. Bring your left knee to your left wrist. And then gently creep the right foot forward towards the right wrist. Doesn't have to go parallel. If this was yang, like a different style, we may encourage that, but this is yin, so it may not even go much for you. I'm going to go about halfway. Gently slide the right thigh back. Then maybe this might be a time where you want to pop a block under your left hip. It might be easier to pop it there. If you want one, you don't have to put one there. And slowly roll to the left and gently bend the right knee. Doesn't matter how much you bend it. But with this, we're stretching outer left hip, left bottom, and then inner right thigh. And everyone's different. For me, I definitely get a more inner thigh here than outer hip. Maybe different for you. Everyone's different. Some people may like to stay upright like this, or maybe you want to gently fold forward and you can place the bolster under you, or you can just lie a bit more flat if you like. It's up to you. Remember, you can pop a blanket under this left knee, even the left wrist if it's getting a bit sensitive on the ground. And I'll start the clock. Okay. So as I mentioned before, these poses are really great to help open up through muscles and connective tissues. They're also really good for our joints because our joints, they don't respond well to strong yang style activities. So like the stronger poses we may do in vinyasa yoga or hatha yoga, or even any types of activity when we're doing running or aerobics or something. The joints respond more to yin style activities. So yin, like what we're doing now, is very gentle, longer holds. No, it's slow, it's calm, it's more passive, and the joints will react better to that. So the joints react and they like that. It just helps to stimulate some of the hyaluronic acid that may help lubricate the joints, synovial fluid as well. And another bonus to these yin poses is that they also help to stimulate some of the meridians in our body. So meridians, that's based on Chinese medicine. And it's believed that we have all these energy channels running through our bodies, and a lot of them are connected to major organs. And if the energy in these channels gets disrupted, it can affect the organ it's related to. So the poses that we've been doing this morning, focusing on the hips, we've also been stimulating the lower body meridians. So you have your stomach and spleen and liver and kidney meridians. Just an added bonus there. You have a few more moments here. Please just breathe and try to relax. Please take one more very slow, deep breath in here. Calm breath out. And slowly coming up. Come up onto the arms, the hands. Roll to the left and gently bring the right leg out. And then we'll rest. That's our last pose. So we'll maybe just rest on the back for a few moments. If you want, and if you do have a bolster, just take the bolster under the legs and just gently lie back. Arms beside you, shutting the eyes and just breathing. If you've got some time, please try to stay here for maybe a little bit longer. Just taking your time, listening to your body. Thank you so much, everybody. My name is Lisa. Namaste.